Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. So I have the very difficult task tonight of calling you all to order, and I don't want to interrupt your fun, but we have a very busy schedule lined up for you tonight. I think it's fair to say that I probably know most of you in the room, although a lot of you I can't see in these lights. But I have met a lot of my CBI members over the last 6 months. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela McGowan. I'm the Regional Director of the CBI in Northern Ireland. And I really want to welcome you all to this 2017 CBI Annual Dinner, where the best of Northern Ireland business is gathered here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a fantastic lineup for you tonight. And I know you'll thank me, or you'll join me in thanking the CBI team, the events team, Anthea and Lauren in particular, and the support team too, Corporate AV, and of course Belfast Waterfront for putting together this beautiful evening. So tonight we have not one, but 2 panel discussions for you lined up, and we also have a small 10-minute talk from our CBI Northern Ireland Director, David Gavaghan. I know you all enjoy David's very long talks, but we're insisting that he sticks to 10 minutes tonight. And I have to say, he is a fantastic chair, and he's so enthusiastic, and we're very grateful to all he does. I should also take this opportunity at the beginning of the night to let you all know, as you know yourselves, that we're in a restricted period coming up to the election. And the CBI, like many other organisations, must comply with the Electoral Commission rules in this regulated period. So that has meant some very last-minute changes to both our agenda and also the VIP list tonight, as clearly presenting you with any senior Conservative ministers tonight without being able to balance that up with Labour and Lib Dem representatives would be in breach of the Electoral Commission rules. But what we have for you instead is a full representation from all our local political parties. They're going to be joining us on the stage later, and they're going to be questioned around some of those issues that matter to our CBI members most. Things like the apprenticeship levy, Brexit, corporation tax. So I'm really looking forward to that. And finally, and most importantly, those gorgeous, before we get tucked into those lovely starters, and I do hope you have a truly enjoyable evening, I want to take the time to sincerely thank our sponsors for this evening. Our strategic partner, Adrian Doran, here at the top table, at Barclays Bank, and also our corporate partner, Barry Smith at MSC Group. I think that's all the noisy table 3 down there, isn't it, as far as I can see. So I'm now going to invite Head of Corporate Banking in Northern Ireland for Barclays Bank, Adrian Doran, to say a few words. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're really delighted to be sponsoring tonight's event once again. It really doesn't seem like a year ago since we were here, and if I remember last year, all the discussion was around the Brexit referendum, Nigel Smith's retirement, and Northern Ireland going to the Euros. Thankfully, 2 out of those 3 things went the right way, and I'll let you decide which 2. I'll just say I'm convinced that Nigel Smith had the inside track on the Brexit referendum, and he timed his retirement very strategically. We now have Angela in the hot seat at the CBI, and can I just say, first of all, Angela, I think you've done a fantastic job in your first 6 months. I know it's been a real baptism of fire with all the challenges at the minute around Brexit and the political situation. And I think if there ever was a time when we need strong political and business leaders in Northern Ireland, it's now. And certainly with Angela and David and others at the CBI, that's what we've got. In terms of our own business in Barclays, last year, we announced a £100 million SME loan fund at this event. And this was part of our goal to become a much bigger player in the SME market in Northern Ireland. 1 year on, I'm really pleased to say we've been delighted with the response we've had to that fund. We've been really encouraged by how many fantastic businesses and entrepreneurs we have in Northern Ireland. And we know that SMEs are the backbone of our economy. Everyone has heard that before. And we really do have some world-class SMEs right on our doorstep. This year, in keeping with our focus on SME, I'd just like to mention 2 very important initiatives that we're launching. Firstly, you might have seen in the press this week that we've just launched our first Barclays Eagle Lab in Northern Ireland at the Olmo Baths in Belfast. This is one of only 10 labs across the UK, and we're delighted that Belfast will now form part of this network. And Barclays UK have really recognised the sheer quantity and quality of high-growth businesses that we have in this part of the world, and especially in the technology sector where we've seen some fantastic companies. The new lab at the Omobas is it's not only one of the biggest incubator spaces in the city, and a fantastic building. It's one of the most iconic buildings in Belfast. I'm sure many people have been through it. But it's not around just the working space. It's all around the connections that people can make from working in such a space. And we'll be doing our bit to help connect the companies in that lab to other businesses across in our Eagle Labs across the UK, or other entrepreneurs who may be able to help them on their business journey. And it doesn't matter whether those people are based in Silicon Valley in California or in Silicon Roundabout in London, we'll be able to help them. The second announcement I'd just like to make is perhaps even more important. We have just signed a new contract with Business in the Community, and they're going to help us deliver Barclays Life Skills training to 20,000 young people over the next 2 years. And this training, if you've seen the TV ads, you know it's all around helping young people prepare for work. And it's everything from interview skills to helping them to manage their money better. And together with a partner in Business Community, we're going to deliver this on a really big scale and really hope to make a difference. We've challenged ourselves to deliver this to 20,000 people over the next 2 years, and crucially, we're going to target the 20% most deprived communities in Northern Ireland. So that's where where the need is most. So if there's anyone in the room tonight that is involved in a school or a community group, particularly in any of our deprived communities, please do get in touch with us. We really would love to hear from you, and hopefully we can help. So finally, can I thank the CBI for organising tonight's event. I'm really looking forward to the panel discussion later, and I know I was chatting to Clodagh earlier, and I said she's going to be Jeremy Paxman for the evening, which is great, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Well, I think that was a signal. So can we have that music again? No, it's all right. It was a joke. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't this room look absolutely fantastic? It's magical. Maybe you'd all like to come up and have a look at it from here. Anyway, 20 minutes. Angela, I wish you'd told me I'd had 20 minutes. There we go. There we go. Trevor, next year, remember, 20 minutes. Very good. 33 years from now, I hope I'm alive. And my grandchildren, don't ask me how many, ask me what was the catalyst that underpinned Belfast's population reaching 1 million people. I will recount to them a night where I was lucky enough to share the stage with 3 people who were part of that amazing transformation. Both Professor Sir John McCanny and Colin Williams are at the forefront of that change, and I have no doubt that Grainne Watson is already in their footsteps. The fundamental issue is about creating businesses and therefore jobs that are at the cutting edge of the global economy. What John and Colin are achieving in their respective fields, in my view, makes it entirely possible that Belfast's population will treble in size, but only if we all open ourselves to their possibility. Tonight, they have kindly agreed to share their stories. I first met Colin Williams a decade ago. I immediately warmed to him. 5 years ago, he gave a fantastic TEDx talk at Titanic Belfast. Please look at it. In it, he spoke movingly about confronting his fear. Last week, I was confronted by a fabulous quote by the great James Baldwin in a brilliant but disturbing film that has just come out on release. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. What Colin and the team at 16 South has achieved over the past decade is awe-inspiring. Last year, not only did the company receive the prestigious BAFTA for Production Company of the Year, but it was also awarded the Prix Jeunesse, the industry's global gold standard, promoting quality in TV for the young worldwide. This foundation wants to bring forward TV that enables children to see, hear, and express themselves and their culture, and that enhances an awareness and appreciation of other cultures. By now, you should be getting the measure of this magical individual. This evening, he's going to give us a glimpse into the amazing world of children's film animation. And what is fantastic is that a local lad from Belfast is at the heart of making children's TV worth watching across the planet. I'm also thrilled that we have with us tonight a world leader in cybersecurity, Professor Sir John McCanny, who has very kindly agreed to share his amazing story. I will not introduce John with his full accolades tonight. It would take too long. Suffice to say, he is a very serious academic, respected by all his peers across the globe. To give you some sense of this man, another remarkable and modest man, not only was he recognized in the last New Year's honours with a knighthood, but he was also recognized last year with a Regius Professorship. The title is a rare and prestigious award bestowed by the Sovereign to recognize exceptionally high-quality research at an institution. Of the 12 universities, 5 received a Regius Professorship for the first time, including the first to be conferred on universities in Wales and Northern Ireland. And lest you think that John is only some extraordinary academic, he's also been at the forefront of what is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Professor Sir John McCanny was responsible within Queen's University for developing the vision that led to the creation of the Northern Ireland Science Park, now Catalyst Inc., and its 37 million research flagship, the Institute of Electronics, Communications and Information Technology. In 2002, NISP was a derelict brownfield site on Queen's Island here in Belfast. Today, 160 high technology companies are located there, employing over 2,600 people and generating over £1 million per annum in salaries. In 2009, he also led the initiative that created the £30 million Centre for Secure Information Technology, CSIT. CSIT, which is based down at the Science Park, now has over 90 people and is the UK's Innovation and Knowledge Centre for Cybersecurity. In the past 6 years, CSIT has been the catalyst in creating over 1,200 new jobs, now worth around £50 million per annum to the economy. This is a mixture of both US foreign direct investment, growth in indigenous companies, and the creation of new startup companies. In effect, we are seeing here in Belfast the emergence of one of the world's most significant new sectoral activities, cybersecurity. Finally, I'm really delighted that Grainne Watson is joining me on the panel tonight. Grainne is the chair of the CBI's Under 35 Council and CBI Council member, and is a rising star in our technology industry, and she'll be teasing out with me how we make the technology sector here the best in the world for women and men, alongside Colin and John. Before our panel discussion, I need to say a few words about the current political situation. The CBI has made its voice clear on the issue of devolved government. Our members, along with many other organisations across the private sector, public sector and third sector, are waiting anxiously for our local politicians to reassemble. Generally, business does not believe that it should intrude into the political arena, but if it touches the fundamentals of what we can achieve for our economy and our society, we have a responsibility to speak up. Richard Florida, a recognized voice when it comes to what's happening in the creative industries across the globe, a decade ago, identified that successful modern cities are driven by 3 T's: technology, talent, and tolerance. Technology is not the limiting factor, as tonight will reveal. Accessing talent remains a key challenge for many CBI members sitting here tonight. And indeed, we know all too well talented people, particularly our young, who choose to reside in places that are tolerant. So the CBI must be loud and clear in our push for tolerance, not just in the workplace, but in our society too. I think I can safely say, on behalf of every businesswoman and man in this room, that our fundamental wish is to be part of a society that is broad-minded, inclusive, and respects each individual, whatever their creed, colour, sexual orientation, or cultural inclination. A lack of tolerance not only attacks the heart of our society, but it has an economic cost. Not only do we lose our bright young people, the lifeblood of our future, but it prevents firms from attracting global talent to our shores. Our CBI members want our political leaders to find a way through the current impasses, and we stand ready to help you and the British and Irish governments in whatever way we can. There is no denying that the business community faces huge challenges ahead, and we need a legislative assembly up and running by the end of June 2017. CBI members want to see an assembly and an executive that can make the very best of the hard choices that lie ahead. Addressing Brexit head-on, day in, day out, overcoming the major environmental and energy challenges ahead, tackling our frail infrastructure, and as importantly, building an infrastructure that meets our future needs, including a rail connection between Belfast and Dublin that enables an hourly service in an hour. Chris Conway, where are you? There is no more time to be lost in transforming our education system, nor can we shy away from addressing the ever-increasing burden being placed on our health services as the demographic time bomb ticks. There is also a real chance to win a regional growth deal, which could potentially attract more than £1 billion of new monies from government here and in Westminster, together with a further £4 billion of private funding. Cardiff has just secured such a deal. And just as John has shown with his Regis Professorship, whatever the Welsh can do, we can do just as well, if not better. Isn't that right, John? Ladies and gentlemen, that wasn't 20 minutes. So I've got the rest of my speech. No, seriously, what we're going to do is have a lot of fun now. So John, Colin, and Grainne, would you very kindly join me on the stage? Thank you. Great. How are you, John?
Fine, thanks, and
Good.
thank you for inviting me tonight.
Not at all, John. Thank you so much. Colin, how are you?
I'm not too bad.
I'm so relieved we're both wearing ties.
Well, I went easy in the wine, so it's slightly a bit more compass mentis tonight than normal.
Okay. Well, Grainne and I, did we drink any wine?
Not yet, but
No.
I also want to point out I'm not singing,
Okay.
even though I'm holding this.
Okay.
It's because of my necklace, but I'm definitely not singing, so you can all be relieved.
Very good. Well, not yet, anyway. Yeah.
There'll be no singing,
John-
not from me.
Okay. Well, the last time I was on a stage like this, I did a bit of dancing. but that's another story. Roseanne's promised to come up and dance with me later. Anyway, John, in 2002, you were the instigator of deciding to do something very courageous. And down on the bottom of Queen's Island, you and a number of people in Queens, together with some other entrepreneurs, thought this is a wonderful opportunity to do something incredible. Would you share with the audience tonight just what it was like in 2002 through to 2004?
Okay, well, 2002, we were really taking, if you like, researchers from the academic ivory tower onto what was a derelict shipyard site. In fact, what we were feeling like was that to get there actually was about a 10-year journey. So it was a mixture of hope, exhilaration, that finally we'd actually made it. And it was also one of the vision that what we could do down there. And as you say, there was quite a number of people. So between then and now, things have gone from strength to strength. And as you said in your talk, under the stewardship of people like Dr. Norman Apsley, the Science Park now has 160 high-tech companies, a number of major US multinationals, but a whole lot of startups and a very, very entrepreneurial environment. And so I think it's wonderful what we've achieved, but I think it's only the start. And I really think we're at the beginning, not the end, of what could be a very, very exciting journey.
You were discussing with me, John, the other day that from the very outset, you always thought this was about being at the cutting edge of global business and global research. Do you want to just expand on that a bit more?
Okay, well, you've used a number of things. Cybersecurity is an example, but more generally, I mean, my observation from my earlier days, because I was involved in research in high technology, a lot of trips to California, a lot of trips to Southeast Asia, and I was fascinated about the roles that the university research environment played in doing that. But what there was this very strong connection between academia and industry, and it was the role of academia to sort of analyze that information and do the forward look what might be and what might be there. And really that was what it was. So from my point of view, you can't be a follower, you have to be a leader. You can't do everything, so you have to concentrate and recognize what your expertise and skill sets were. And I think we've not only done that in cyber, we're doing that in wireless communications. We're also doing data analytics and scalable computing. So me too, being number 2, 3 is not good enough. And if you look at those, where all of that kind of activity takes place, you find there's universities like Stanford, you find that there's Berkeley, you find on the East Coast there's MIT, but you find also in Europe, there's major universities, say, in Germany and other places. But it's that ecosystem that connects all of that, not just that working in isolation.
Colin, would you perhaps share the beginnings of your business and how the whole thing began and where you are today?
16 South, I suppose, came out of a previous business which I had, which was a commercial production company, which I was trying to run really until the recession came along, and it just became impossible because people wanted to pay less money, people sometimes didn't want to pay at all after you'd finished the work, and it became hard, and I fell out of love with it, and into love with something else, which was the whole idea of making something which is going to last, and also realizing that the power of story was a very powerful thing indeed, and that's what took me into making shows for kids TV, shows for kids, and it started. Our first show was a show called Sesame Tree, which it's a really old photograph up there. I look younger than that too tonight. And we made 2 seasons of that, and it was sold to BBC Network, and it was a show really about dealing with entertainment, fun, but also it was the only show we've ever made for a local audience, actually, but it was also addressing full-on conflict resolution and also difference. And being a Belfast boy, that was an incredible thing to do, to use the power of story to bring change. I suppose the interesting thing was that I was told by so many people, which I won't name, not to do it because you can't make kids' TV in Belfast. In fact, you can't make anything of any kind of worth in Belfast. And I think I've probably been, it's my own kind of pig-headedness makes me not really want to listen to people who tell me no. And the one thing I've learned through the last 8 years is no is never a no, and no is only a no today, not necessarily tomorrow.
Yeah. Would you go along with that, Grainne?
Absolutely. I mean, part of what brought me back to Belfast were things like this. When I left, Catalyst didn't exist. There was no real buzz about the place, and now there genuinely is. And you feel as though we're on the edge of something, and we just have to jump now. We as a people used to say there were things that we couldn't do here. But why is that now? We've already shown that we can do that, so now is the time to go. But we need everybody to do it. It's not going to be one set of people. It's got to be everybody that pull together and say, here's where we want to go and here's what we want to be, collectively.
How important is it in each of your lines of activity for us to have this global connectivity?
Absolutely essential, David. I mean, if you're working in an area of high technology, I mean, for us to do research, to be informed by that research, we have to know what's going on in Silicon Valley. We have to know what's going on in Southeast Asia. So there was never any doubt about that. We have people all over the world every day of the week. Why not? I mean, it's a short hop to London and from there to anywhere else. So I think you have to have that global perspective. I mean, I said to you earlier about cybersecurity. It's something that just knows no boundaries. So when we started on that, I mean, we didn't start off to be the best in the UK, then going into Europe. We went straight to the US. We went straight to South. We went to the places where we knew these were major issues, and we were warmly welcomed because this was a problem that was bigger, and also a business opportunity that was bigger than a lot of people could have imagined. So why not?
How big is it, John?
It's about $100 billion a year.
How big?
About 100 billion.
100 billion.
And it's growing exceptionally fast. I mean, in terms of jobs, for example, there's various estimates that the world is short of between 1 million and 2 million people with expertise in this field. So again, from a local perspective, if we can train enough people up and do that in a cost-effective manner, then that offers significant opportunities. And we've seen that already in a relatively short period of time. And I believe, once a quote that one of my colleagues had given me, that Belfast is now the #1 destination for US foreign direct investment in this area.
Could you say that again, John, just in case the audience missed it?
Belfast, apparently, is #1 for US foreign direct investment in cybersecurity.
Isn't that fantastic?
From nothing.
Yeah. Colin, will you tell us some of the challenges now as the business has grown and you're attracting interest from China and from around the globe with some of the talent that you need to get and where all of that takes the business?
John mentioned earlier about the connection between industry and education. For us, it's a magic triangle: industry, government, and education. And when those three things are connected, amazing things can happen. We don't compete against anybody locally. We're really the only dedicated kids producer in North Ireland. We've got other friends in Dublin and in London and beyond. And while we're all friends, we're all competing for a few slots. So Disney might have they may buy 3 shows a year. PBS in the States buy 1 show a year. So when you're pitching, you are up against a lot. The ratio is for us, it's 0.5% of all shows that are pitched get picked up, and that's what it looks like.
0.5%. Wow.
Not 0.5%. Yeah. And I suppose the challenges for us, we're good at what we do, and thankfully, we don't seem to have any problem in terms of winning business. The problem is actually the availability of talent, because animation is a new industry, So we took a new premises last year in Bedford Street, and it's a nice story because it's part of the old Linonopolis. It's part of Belfast's old industry. So to live in a building which was great for something else, it's great to do something brand new in that building. But we took it, and it was terrifying because we thought we've got 8,000 square feet to fill 140 desks. That is unachievable. the problem we've got now is we've run out of space.
Yeah.
But
We have the same problem.
It's a great
but
problem.
we also can't attract. We've also run out of talent. So talent in this part of the world are all employed, and for us to continue to, well, for us to stay in Belfast and continue to employ talent, we've got to bring them from other countries. We've got a French director starting. We have a Greek art director. That obviously makes us nervous about the short-term future of the UK in the world and in Europe, because that's going to be a big problem.
Could we just address the issue of are we attracting enough women into your respective industries? And obviously Grainne will particularly have a view on this, but John, you were saying you see it as really critical to the future of the business.
Yeah, I do, because I mean, the number that the gauge stays stubbornly around about 10% in areas of high tech. It goes up and it goes down. We're missing out a complete sector or proportion of our society. We are working very, very hard, certainly at Queen's, to do what we can to encourage more and more women. Nationally, there's things like the Royal Academy of Engineering are doing the same thing. We are building up more and more very, very exemplary role models for doing that. But this kind of sector, it's away from the old oily rag kind of image. It's a creative sector. It's a sector where, so much can happen. But the other aspect about it is not, from our perspective, whilst we're obviously science, technologies, engineers, helping facilitate business. Business is about much more than that. And in fact, even the best tech businesses, in my experiences, are probably in the end about 10 to 20% technology. There's a whole raft of other skills. There's the legal skills, there's the marketing skills, sales skills, the organizational skills, and so on and so forth. So we need a much more holistic effort to try and couple all of those aspects.
Grainne, you're in the middle of the industry. What are your views on this?
I would absolutely agree. Table 1 is a beautiful table that I'm sitting at, but I'm currently the only female on it, which is
Anthea,
problematic.
where are you? Yeah.
Which is problematic. I think that really, precisely what you said there, it's really creative, and what we're not doing is actually relaying that to young girls, and actually young men either, and saying, here is the impact that you would have, here are all of the things that we do. What we do is we write jobs, and jobs just explain the actual job. What we should be doing is saying, here is the impact, here are the things that we do day in, day out, and that's how you make something attractive to people. We tried it. We went to a school in Northern Ireland, which I won't name, and we gave out a job description, and we had both boys and girls read it. And we left them to it, and we came back, and we said, oh, okay, would you do that job? And the boys said, well, yes, I would, because I see what it is. And we said to the girls, would you? And the girls said, well, no, because I don't really know what that does. Like, I know that those are the processes that are involved, but what is the impact? What does it do? And so that's only one small part, but it's a big part. And actually, in addition to females, what we need to be doing is getting every single child to have even one STEM subject. I'm not even talking about 5, but 1. Because I was having this conversation at the BITC, actually, just this week, and I said I would like everybody to have a STEM subject to 18 at least. And someone said back to me, oh, well, it's like football. If you have a goalkeeper just knows how to stop goals. And I said, well, yes, but for where we're going into the future, that goalkeeper needs to understand the rules of football. And it's only through having at least one STEM subject that you will understand the rules upon which our world is going to be built. So if we don't do that for every single person, whether they be female or they be male, we're in trouble, frankly. We're not going to have the pipeline.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're currently having to go out and get people in from everywhere, we won't have that pipeline, so we need to build it.
Colin, what are you doing to build your pipeline?
Ask me about girls.
Go on. Go on then.
I don't mean it that way. I sound really sleazy than this.
It did.
So actually, over 50% of our studio are female.
Yeah.
I don't know, and that's not through, tick the box, how many females, how many males, how many Protestants, how many Catholics, No, the best people for the job get the jobs. So yeah, over 50% and over 50% of our senior management team are females. Every show that we make, we've got 3 shows in production, one for Disney Junior, one for PBS in the States, and another one for lots of countries. All 3 shows and 5 shows in development, bar one, all have female leads as well. And you ask me where it starts, that's where it starts. It's about what we show girls. It's about how we model. I was thinking earlier on, I had no idea what these questions were going to be. I actually wrote something completely different. But when it comes to role models, when it comes to leaders, it comes to how we tell people how it should be. It's our job as storytellers to tell girls, be strong, be determined, be these things. Don't be a Barbie princess. Yeah, you can be that if you want, but you know what? You can be strong and you can do whatever you want, and that's something we choose to do.
Yeah. I think probably everybody in the room feels that we could go on for a long time, so why don't we just do that? Yeah, no. I think John and Colin and Grainne, we've probably reached a point. I know there's just hundreds more things we could talk about and have such great fun, but Angela will start looking at me in a minute, and then Anthea will say, we've got to go. So can I say thank you? Would everybody please show their appreciation? Thank you. So we're going to have a main course. I'd just like to say 3 words about 3 people. So obviously, Adrian mentioned Angela's arrival. Angela, you have been absolutely fantastic. And what is wonderful is, obviously, Nigel had his own amazing stamp on this organization. But in 6 months, it's been really clear that you've put your stamp on it, and that is fantastic. As chair, one of the most important things for me in my role is both, obviously after 26 years, Angela's appointment was a fundamental opportunity for the organization. But obviously the next chair is as critical for the leadership of the organization to work in partnership with Angela. And I really can't think of a better chair than you, Trevor, for the next phase of what we're doing. Through the really difficult times ahead in the negotiations of Brexit, Trevor, I know you'll be the most wonderful companion with Angela in dealing with all the really thorny issues that are ahead of us, and focusing on one of the most important things is, as much as I focus on Belfast, I recognise the critical importance of the rural economy to every part of this island. It is a fundamental issue as to how the rural economy seems. And the last person, I hope he won't mind me particularly pointing him out in this room tonight, is Sir Malcolm McKibben. Sir Malcolm, you have been one of the most outstanding leaders that I think Northern Ireland has seen in a long time. Obviously, John and you, the fact you're both recognised, but I think there's probably every single person in this room would like to wish you very well in your future career, which you've had to postpone a little while longer. But there's a promise, I'm sure, from the local political parties that as of the 29th of June, I'm not sure if you're staying till then, but could we all, on behalf of everybody in this room, say, Sir Malcolm McKibben, many congratulations and thank you for a fantastic job. If Martin had been here, he'd say, stand up, but I'm not going to do that. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll now have our main course.